Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. After winning the Big 12 and the Sugar Bowl in 2021, Baylor entered the 2022 season with pretty high expectations. Expectations of winning the Big 12 again, maybe even making the college football playoff. But instead, the Bears were one of the most disappointing teams in all of college football, going to 6-7 where they lost to Air Force in their bowl game. I would expect things to be a little bit different in 2023. Dave Aranda will not allow his program to continue to regress, to continue to disappoint. And the schedule for Baylor lines up for a very solid bounce-back season. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today as we break down Baylor's schedule for this upcoming 2023 college football season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below because, again, here at the Gridiron Expert, guys, football never dies. The college football season never ends here at the Gridiron Expert, and we want you to become a part of that. We want you to become part of our GE Nation so you don't miss out on any of our future content going forward, including our official Baylor football prediction that will be coming out in just a few months. And you don't want to miss that, so hit that notification button so you don't miss out on any of our future videos, every single prediction for every single college football team that will be coming out later on this summer. So let's take a look at Baylor again. This is a team that had a losing record last year after winning 11 games in 2021, after winning the Sugar Bowl, after winning the Big 12, 6-7 in 2022. And it was kind of a weird stretch for Baylor, right? They started the year at 3-3, so a mediocre start to the year, won 3 straight games, so they're 6-3, seemed to be kind of picking up some steam, and then lost 4 straight to close the year, including the bowl game to Air Force. So again, this should be a year where you would expect Baylor to maybe bounce back with a pretty favorable schedule. And you take a look at that schedule, the first thing that stands out to me is that 5 of their first 6 games before the bye week are at home. So talk about a great start for the Bears, right? 5 of their first 6 games are going to be played in Waco, and then they get a bye week in that. So 6 games, bye week, back 6 games. It's great. And you know, the thing is, they're at home, which is a great benefit to Baylor, but they're against tough opponents. So it's not like these games are going to be just, cakewalks and automatic wins, all right? I mean, a home game against Utah, home game against Texas, home game against Texas Tech. I mean, great that Baylor gets to host those teams, but by no means a win for Baylor, by no means a lot for Baylor. I think many would believe that Baylor would beat Texas State, a team they beat by 35 last year. LIU, I believe they think they will beat them. And the lone game that is on the road during that first 6 weeks, it's on the road at UCF, a newcomer to the Big 12. Baylor actually plays every newcomer to the Big 12 with the exception of BYU, who they played each of the last 2 seasons. So they avoid BYU, but they do play UCF, they do play Houston, they do play Cincinnati. And one thing you should also know here is Baylor avoided Oklahoma. So how beneficial is that? Oklahoma team that also went 6-7 last year was a major disappointment, is expecting a major bounce back year, and the Bears avoid them. So the only chance that Baylor could see Oklahoma would be if they faced off in the Big 12 championship game. So first 6 games, I would say it's a pretty favorable stretch, not just because of the home games, but because we don't really know exactly what to expect from Texas. Baylor held their own against the Longhorns last year before kind of falling apart towards the end, losing 38-27. Utah, obviously a team that is still going to be relying heavily on Cam Rising, but hoping that he's fully healthy by week 2 after suffering that injury against Penn State in the Rose Bowl. At UCF, going to the bounce house ain't going to be easy. We know that. It's never going to be easy there. And then Texas Tech is a team they beat 45-17 last year, but a Texas Tech team that we do expect to improve. So that's an interesting game there as well. A Texas Tech team that had a pretty solid year on year 1 on Joey McGuire, but has a great quarterback returning in Tyler Shugg. They've got a great core of wide receivers. And if they can fix that defense a little bit, they could be the Big 12 dark horse in 2023. Baylor, though, despite being disappointing, despite not being very good last year, torched Texas Tech, and now they get to host them in Waco. So you look at this first 6 games, and for Baylor, you go, okay, honestly, obviously, if Baylor wants to contend for a playoff and wants to contend for a Big 12 title, they probably need to find themselves at like 5-1 or better entering the bye week. I think 4-2 could be very, very feasible. I think a 3-3 start in 2023, just like they had in 2022, would be a very disappointing start for Baylor and would not be a sign of good things to come for that back half of the schedule. So I think Baylor really needs to be 4-2 or better heading into their bye week because the back half of the schedule, guys, is pretty tough. They come out of the bye week, they go on the road to Cincinnati, obviously with a new head coach and Scott Satterfield now. A lot of changes going on with the Bearcats, sure. It'll be interesting to see how teams like Cincinnati and UCF and Houston and BYU, all those newcomers, how they fare being in a Power 5 conference and playing Power 5 opponents week in and week out. We'll have an idea of that by October 21st, well into the season for both teams. But at Cincinnati, certainly not going to be easy. Iowa State, very physical game always between Baylor and the Cyclones, but the Bears did beat Iowa State 31-24 last year on the road in a game many didn't think they'd win. We did, we predicted that, but many didn't think they'd win after a slow start. Did beat Iowa State by 7. They get to host them, and then they get Houston right after that. I would say the key stretch for Baylor, the key stretch that could define their season, assuming that the start of the year has gone relatively well, would be that final month of November. I would say the month of November is pretty tough, where they have to play Houston, at Kansas State, a team that beat them 31-3 last year, at TCU, the national runner-up, big-time rivalry game, a team that Baylor lost to in the final seconds last year, 29-28, literally TCU rushing the field goal unit out there as the time's running, booted the game-winning field goal to keep their college football playoff and Big 12 title hopes alive, and then West Virginia, who Baylor lost to 43-40. So Houston, they didn't play last year, newcomer, doesn't have very high expectations in year one in the Big 12. Baylor gets to host them, that's huge. But the final 3 games were all teams that Baylor lost to in 2022, and 2 of those teams are now on the road for the Bears. Kansas State still going to be pretty dang good, reigning Big 12 champions. They're going to be looking pretty dang good. At TCU, they're going to take a bit of a step back. Sure, I don't think many people think they're going to go undefeated again or maybe even make the playoff again, but they're still going to be very competitive. And that's on the road. And then West Virginia, always very wildly inconsistent. That game last year in Morgantown was wild between the Bears and the Mountaineers, and Baylor ultimately lost by 3. So I think that final month is key, especially those final 3 games, because if Baylor finds themselves as anywhere from an undefeated team, which I don't think is likely, but undefeated to a 2-loss team entering that November 11th game at Kansas State, their playoff hopes, if they have 2 losses, are done, but their Big 12 title hopes might not be. Their New Year's 6 bowl game hopes might not be. But those could all take a massive blow with just one more loss to Kansas State, TCU, or West Virginia, and Baylor's certainly going to try to get revenge over each of those programs in those final 3 weeks of the year. So the month of November, to me, is crucial for Baylor. The first 6 games, very beneficial to Baylor in terms of the home slate. 5 of the first 6 at home. Not many teams get to say that they have that on their schedule, but the teams are tough. Utah, Texas, Texas Tech. Not going to be easy games. Again, if Baylor can find themselves at 4-2 or better coming out of the bye week, this is a team that could have a major rebound in 2023, a team that could find themselves back in the Big 12 championship game, and once again back in a New Year's 6 bowl game. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, and everything there, guys, to help you get through this offseason, because, again, here at the Gridiron Expert, football never dies. The college football season never ends, and we want you to become a part of our GE Nation. We want you to take advantage of the nonstop college football content and to get ready for the 2023 season that will be here before we know it. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.